Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the preview for the 2025 Italian Grand Prix, one of my absolute favourite tracks on the calendar and my team's home race. So let's hope it goes a little bit better than it did last weekend. I mean, it can't get much worse, right? As well as a big weekend for Ferrari, it is of course a massive weekend for Lando Norris now, who will need to bounce back from that devastating title blow he took at Zandvoort. A big weekend ahead full of intrigue, and of course I'm very much looking forward to it all. But anyway, as touched on there, last week F1 was at Zandvoort where Oscar Piastri took the win and thanks to a strong drive and his teammates' DNF, moved 34 points clear at the top of the standings. That's a big lead, but now it is on to the wonderful 5.793 kilometre, that is 3.6 mile, 11 corner Autodromo Nazionale di Monza for round 16 of the season. Apologies for the pronunciation. As is usually the case here, we've got two DRS zones to help drivers try and get some overtaking done. And the first zone is between turns 7 and 8, and the second one is down that super long start-finish straight. It's not the easiest place to overtake here, but it is probably a tad easier than it was at Zandvoort, with the outright best spots undoubtedly on the run down to that first chicane and into it thanks to that long DRS zone. The second chicane does present an opportunity, but it's not as easy as it may look on paper, and we do sometimes see cars side by side through the final corner, but given the DRS detection point crops up towards the exit of that corner, the overtaking driver is immediately at risk of being re-overtaken, so waiting for the run to turn 1 is probably the way to go there. As for some historical stats, Monza has hosted all but one World Championship Italian Grand Prix, and that one occasion was in 1980 when Imola got the honour, but it has been an ever-present since and has held a total of 74 World Championship races since 1950, with 40 different drivers taking victory over the years. No prizes for guessing who holds the most, with Michael Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton sharing the record for the most wins at the track with 5 apiece. And Ferrari, courtesy of Charles Leclerc, have won 2 of the last 6 races at Monza. Max Verstappen has also won 2 of the last 6. And we've had 2 surprise results from the last 6 as well. Pierre Gasly's win in 2020 and Daniel Ricciardo's in 2021. And as it turns out, 2 is the number of different dry tyre compounds a driver must run during a Grand Prix. And as if that wasn't enough, 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 3 just so happens to be the number of dry tyre compounds available across a race weekend. Oh yes, that's right, I hurt my arm with that reach to try and find a segue into tyre talk time. They're getting worse, and I'm definitely running out of ideas. But anyway, the compounds available for this one then are pretty much in the middle of the range, and they are the hard C3, the medium C4, and the soft C5. That is the same nomination as last season, by the way. Drivers spend 80% of a lap at Monza at full throttle, so stability, underbraking and good traction are huge factors here, especially when it comes to the first chicane where a good exit is critical. But that's not all, because there are fast corners as well, so lateral forces will also come into play on the run to the second chicane, and of course through Parabolica or Curva Alboreto as it is now known. When it comes to strategy, teams are probably going to aim for a one-stopper because the pit lane loss time at Monza is one of the highest of the season, so we can expect to see some long stints unless, of course, we get a safety car crop up, in which case someone may try something a little bit different. And last year's winning strategy was, in fact, a one-stopper with race winner Charles Leclerc starting on the mediums before pitting for a set of hards on lap 15, which he ended up running to the end of the race. There was actually a good mix of 1- and 2-stop strategies last year, but everyone only used the hards and the mediums apart from Lance Stroll, who ran a set of the softs right at the end of the Grand Prix for a whole 2 laps. The safety car is a bit of a rarity actually at Monza, with just 10 races at the track featuring a full or virtual safety car period. However, 3 races since 2020 have featured at least one, but at the same time we haven't seen one since 2022. So, relatively rare, but possible is my expert analysis right there for you. And the weather could mix things up a bit, but at time of recording, which is as ever Wednesday afternoon, it does look set to be a warm and dry weekend with a small threat of rain on Friday, and the latest forecast as of Thursday morning is on screen for you to have a look at now, but of course, it could all change by the time we get to the weekend, you never know. And your schedule for this one is following a slight variation last time out back to the more expected European times. And unless I'm mistaken, that'll be the last time I say that this year. Although weekends like Baku, Singapore and Abu Dhabi, for example, aren't too far off in terms of session times. Not that that really matters. Anyway, all of that does mean that FP1 will get the weekend started on Friday from 12:30 p.m. BST, and that is followed later that afternoon by FP2 at 4 p.m. Saturday's F1 action starts with FP3 at 11:30 a.m. with qualifying underway from 3 p.m. And it will be lights out for the race on Sunday at 2 p.m. And once again, that is in UK time. And don't forget, it's not just F1 on track at Monza with F2 and F3 returning. And actually, in F3's case, it is their season finale. So hopefully plenty of action to look forward to. Now, before I make some predictions, let's have a run through a few stories that have been doing the rounds since last weekend. First up, Lewis Hamilton will have to take a grid penalty this weekend after the FIA stewards penalised him following the Dutch Grand Prix. The Brit entered the race with an FIA investigation hanging over him for failing to slow for double yellow flags and failing to travel at a greatly reduced speed at the pit entry area during his pre-race reconnaissance laps. And those were precautions imposed at Zandvoort for safety reasons due to the nature of the circuit. The official documents from the FIA said that the data showed that Lewis Hamilton had entered the double yellow sector approximately 20 kilometers per hour less than his speed at the same point in practice sessions, had reduced throttle application in the order of 10 to 20%, and had lifted and braked 70 meters earlier when entering the pit lane. The stewards went on to say that they did not consider a 20 km/h reduction in speed at a double-waved yellow sector constituted reducing speed significantly, and they also did not consider the speed at which the driver entered the pit entry road as being at a greatly reduced speed. It does go on to add that the infringement would usually carry a drop of 10 places. However, given Hamilton did make an attempt to reduce his speed and to brake earlier, the stewards took that into account as a mitigating circumstance and imposed a 5-place grid penalty instead. Elsewhere, Ferrari will run a special livery at Monza to pay tribute to the 50th anniversary of Niki Lauda's first World Championship title in 1975. The livery will reflect the signature traits of the legendary 312T, the shade of red matching it with the classic white stripes also featuring, and the drivers' names will be written in cursive script. The race numbers will also change with the black numbers on a white rectangular background, and the rear wing will be metallic silver as a nod to the aluminium used in those days before carbon fibre became the F1 standard, with the engine cover also painted in white. The entire team will also wear special kit inspired by the 1975 season. Leclerc and Hamilton will also get some new race kit too, which has been designed in the style and colours of the era. And Alex Dunn will take part in the opening practice session for McLaren on Friday morning, his second outing this season following on from his debut at the Red Bull Ring in June. Dunn, who said he was super excited to be getting back behind the wheel for his second FP1 with McLaren, will take Oscar Piastri's car for the Friday morning session. And by the way, as I record this, I haven't seen any other confirmation of FP1 driver changes, but if any are announced between me saying this and the video going out, I'll pin a comment with more info. And actually, as I say that, a press release has just this second dropped from Alpine, confirming that Paul Aaron will take Franco Colapinto's place on Friday morning in FP1. Right then, shall we make some predictions? I think that's a very good idea, but as ever, please do not take these too seriously. They're just a little bit of fun. But if you do disagree with my picks, then you can let me know yours in the comment section down below. And last time, not great, but not the worst I've done, that's for sure. I was right on Piastri taking the win and 17 race finishes, but wrong on everything else. If only Lando Norris hadn't had that mechanical retirement, I'd have had one whole extra point. Not happy, although I think Lando probably less impressed than me. This week, here's something that will shock you to your very core. McLaren will enter this weekend as the favourites. I know, even more incredible analysis. Lando Norris needs this one. I know a couple of people were not upset, but weren't keen on me saying Lando is in a nothing to lose scenario because, I mean, we all have something to lose, right? But also, to be fair, we do still have 9 races left, so perhaps that's a little bit over the top, but I didn't really mean it in a literal sense either. But yeah, he needs this one just to bounce back straight away, and it will be the best way to respond to the disappointment of Zandvoort. So, although I don't want it to seem like I'm writing Oscar Piastri off, because I'm absolutely not, and there's a very good chance he could win again on Sunday, but I am going to go all in on Lando Norris in the hope that he can keep the title fight somewhat interesting, because otherwise it's going to be a long run to Abu Dhabi. That means I'm going Norris for pole and the win with Piastri P2, and shall I put a Ferrari P3? Or would that just be setting myself up for even more disappointment? Do you know what? Screw it. I'll never learn my lesson, will I? I'll take the pain. He's gone well here for Ferrari over the years. It's their home Grand Prix as a team, so I'm going to go with Charles Leclerc for the final step on the podium. Anyway, elsewhere I'll go with Racing Bulls as the 5th best finishing team on Sunday, and my separate bolder picks for this one are double points for Williams, Franco Colapinto gets a Q3 appearance, and Isack Hadjar grabs a top 5 finish in the race on Sunday to build on that podium he got last time out. That is it for the Italian Grand Prix preview then, but don't forget you can let me know your thoughts and your predictions ahead of the weekend in the comment section down below. Now, I will be back across the weekend with the usual qualifying and race watch-along streams, but in the meantime, if you did enjoy this one, then please do leave a like, as it really does help the channel in its never-ending battle with the YouTube algorithm, and consider subscribing too so you don't miss any future videos or streams. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.